Welcome to Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. Now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler.
Good morning and welcome back into Inside the Game here, number 189 on this Thursday, November 13th. I'm Jonathan Turner. That's Nathan Wangler, also our producer, Ryan Glinsky. And we're happy to have you here this morning as we continue on, as we get closer and closer to number 200 of Inside the Game. Not too far off here. We're looking at a week and a half, I think, Mr. Wangler.
Yeah, coming up on it really quickly. So it's been a lot of episodes, been a lot of fun since the beginning. It's crazy to think how far it's evolved. I mean, that's the best part about it, right? You get to see all the different stages. You get to see all the different changes. What we started in, January of last year, I think it was, you and I doing it on StreamYard, just the two of us. And then we've seen multiple different additions and then changes and evolution over the span of our time. But I think now it's certainly it's hitting its stride. So we gotta continue to double down because I think it's fun doing this with you guys. And yeah,
I was gonna say we had a great show here lined up this morning. I wanted to put this out there because it came up last night during we just walked in the house from dinner and sitting on the couch, and Bianca's like, "Hey, who wants to go watch the Northern Lights tonight?" And I'm like, "Not me." And it's not because I don't think they could be great, but I typically get up, an earlier time period. I don't necessarily gotta go into how many hours I sleep or don't sleep. And so yeah, the kids last night, they all got in the car at like 10 o'clock, drove an hour north to not see the Northern Lights, is what I suspect.
In
no.
Based on some people, what I saw on social media in Mount Pleasant, you could see the Northern Lights. I actually got a chance last year to see the Northern Lights from my porch in my college house. And it's a pretty cool experience, but I can now tell people that I've seen the Northern Lights and have no desire to see them again.
Yeah, I saw them here in Grand Rapids. They were beautiful. The Chicago pictures are the best ones. Like downtown, it was like a tapestry the other night, so that was really cool to see. But yeah,
she went and saw them. She took pictures. I can't see a single one where there's Northern Lights. And I think when she got home, when she walked in the door at 2 a.m. with the kids, I was like, "Would you guys see them?" She's like, "I don't think so." So okay,
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Oh man, but there's a filter on your phone you can use to actually see them. I think that's I don't know.
I have no idea. But anyways, I'm not gonna partake in that. It's not that I don't. I mean, if it was like on a Friday night maybe, and not having to do the next morning maybe, but getting up and getting here, something I do every day, and yeah. Anyways, so I did not do that last night. Something I thought would be kind of interesting to talk about. We are in this unique position, the three of us, where we get a chance to come on here every single day and talk shop, talk sports, talk whatever. We steer clear of things that are controversial for the most part. But I think this is a unique opportunity for us to talk about how important it is, maybe if you're trying to get to the next level, how you conduct yourself in social media land. What I mean? Like, I feel like there's a lot of people out there that want to get to the next level, right? And to be fair, just like in professional sports, it's a long shot. There's a reason why players are where they are, and there's a reason why and for every player that's made it, there's 1,000 that would love to be in that spot. And I would argue that there are a very similar scenario when it comes to broadcasters. And you've even talked about this. You'd give your left arm to be on a Division I basketball game. Like, you've even talked about that, right? And so I think maybe your left arm, whatever it might be, but you've made those statements before. And so here you are. You're trying to get better at this craft. You're working your tail off, all those things, and it comes down to a simple, a tweet. Where I hop in a comment section because somebody else is talking about a broadcast or a moment or something, and now I'm involved in this back and forth. does that hurt my chances one day of maybe getting the call up, right? I mean, we live in this world too where we do criticize not only our own broadcasts, but those are the people we know who are close to us, and we try to do it constructively, of course. I think is the best way to put that. But
Right.
do we cross that line? And because someone is in a position of success, do we hold them to a higher regard? And are we more critical of that person who's already there, or the person who's below them? Because I even made the comment last year about the men's national championship game, and the Vermont and Vermont Marshall. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what final. But
Yes.
anyways, I was like, I wasn't a big fan of the call, and I know that you would talk about, well, I think it's really raw and authentic, and that's great. I go, but if do you expect that same call, at MLS Cup level, the same kind of raw authenticity that we got? And so I thought it'd be kind of a cool thing for us to kind of exercise this morning to talk about that, because it happens every day. I see tweets, I see LinkedIn posts, I see Instagram, I see all these things on social media land where we're all kind of, throwing punches at each other. Is that going to hurt? Is that going to hurt the next broadcaster? Is it going to help the next broadcaster? Do hiring managers even give a shit? I'm curious.
It's best not to get too war of words, because if someone passes by, they're not going to know who's the idiot and who's the smart one. They're just going to see two people fighting, and you're going to be one of them. And so learning how to take the high road is a skill set that is developed. It's not something that's easily done, because we are surrounded by stuff all the time that we would love to hop in on. Half the videos I see every day, I would love to hop in the comments section. And truthfully, that it's just something that I realize that I can't do, and especially in a position of, when you talk about play-by-play, it's a little bit different, right? With certain people in the media, with what we're doing, for example, like if Ryan really wanted to double down and be like a radio personality in sports, ruffling feathers is not necessarily a bad thing. That comes with the job description, right? That's part of what you have to do, because that's what that area of the job field requires of you, because it requires generating interest, right? That's why we see not interest in money wise, but interest in your show and your product, right? And we see that with the clips that they share, and we see that with some of the clickbait and maybe the hot take artists. Like, I'll be the first to tell you that, someone like Stephen A. Smith, he's a professional rage baiter in a lot of ways, but it works out great for him, because people love to watch him, or they love to hate to watch him, right? It's the same thing with, I think of Mike Valenti. I think he's very good at that. I think he's very well spoken, but I think he knows how to generate a response. For those guys, I think sometimes being confident, maybe being brash, maybe being forward isn't necessarily a bad thing, because that's how you have to be in that area. But when it comes to play-by-play broadcasters, you cannot do that, because you never know who's going to be waiting to bring you in. Like, I've even thought about my own social media, like in the past, like, if there's one school that might not ever hire me, it's probably going to be like Ohio State, because they might look back at my social and be like, you're
Mine's
probably not
Indiana.
good for this. Yeah. So, like,
And Minnesota United. I don't think.
I'll never be the voice of Minnesota United.
Yeah.
So, but you never know. Like, you never know when the bridge is going to open up. So it's always best to be kind to everyone and just take the high road. It's one thing if I'm talking to you guys off air and I'm like, yeah, I don't, like, I'll admit, like, I didn't like, we were talking about the Gus Johnson call, Indiana and Penn State. Like, I did not like it. I did not think that was a good call, especially for someone on Gus Johnson's level. I didn't. But I'm not going to go out and blast him on social media, because, again, I don't like, as a play-by-play guy, I don't like blasting counterparts, whether that be, and I know he's not my counterpart, he doesn't know who I am, but he's another play-by-play guy. I just don't like blasting other talents, because it makes me sound and look conceited. Plus, I'm not in a position really to come from that. I know I do professional baseball, but, like, I'm not on that level, so I don't, you can be a little critical, you can say you don't like it and why you don't like it, but there's a fine line there.
Well, and I think that all of us, all three of us included, there's moments where we're like, man, like, we had this chance and we just couldn't get the words out. Something happened, right? And so, again, Gus Johnson's one of those play-by-play guys too. That if I actually think he's playing his own category. It's like, it's like there's a category. It's like Gus Johnson's the category, right? Like, he's created this thing where his level of excitement is far greater than most that we've ever probably seen in our day. We remember the famous call with Michigan State with McDonough. That was his last name is McDonough?
Yes.
He lost his voice in that call. But
Like
to be fair,
times.
but to be fair, I think that the viewer actually appreciates the fact that he did lose his voice in that call because it made that call even more authentic and more real. And so I think that again, from my perspective at least, because again, any voice coach, and you go, how did that happen? How did you lose your voice? So, how did it do that? And so and to be critical, and I would imagine that a lot of people are critical of that call too, as well.
I would say, I mean, I'm young into this profession. Probably this would be my 4th year, I guess, of doing it. If you count my college is first, I guess, out of college stuff. But that call, that specifically the McDonough call, that has been used with my family and friends, and like they do the voice, let's play the game. Like everyone really likes it. I will say that call specifically made my life hell for a couple of months, just being in middle school, and all the Michigan State fans let me know that they won. But at the same time, sorry, what was that name?
Old. I was in college when that happened. Am I old, JT? Am I getting old?
I wasn't anywhere near college. I don't know why you're saying, are you old?
Yeah, I was a 7th grader.
Yeah, he's a 7th grader. I mean, this happened when? What year was this?
2015.
Yeah, guys, I was married. I already had 3 of my kids. Fuck all you.
No.
What's up? Am I old?
Like,
Go ahead, Ryan.
sorry to make you guys feel old on this Thursday morning, but
Halfway
I
to 40,
personally
man.
like-
This is brutal.
Like-
or halfway to 50. Go ahead.
To your point, I really like the kind of like, you got to get excited a little bit. I always kind of liked it, and that's just kind of the moment. Like, when has that ever happened in the world of football? Like, I've never seen it happen. Probably will never see that happen again. A fumble on a punt that scores a game-winning touchdown. That'll probably never happen, but at the same time, I like the excitement. Maybe Gus could dial it down a notch, but like at the same time, I like it. So I would much rather have that excitement than Joe Buck.
Yeah, I was just going to say Joe Buck. Do you want Joe Buck making that call?
And we will see you later on tonight. Like, I get
Back
it.
in the end zone, touchdown.
Yeah, like I get it. Joe Buck has done so many big games, but at the same time, I like the excitement. So I get why people hate it, but for me personally, I like the excitement.
I do. I like. Trust me. Energy is something that cannot be replaced as a play-by-play broadcaster. Like, that's something that is just. It makes or breaks a call. Like, I'll agree with you on that. Like, even listening to like high school football games, like. There's this app, it's the Michigan Sports Radio app, and they do all the teams on the west side. So they don't really do like east side or up north or anywhere else, but it's all the west side high school football teams. You can just tool through it and just listen to all the different games. Dude, some of it's like ASMR. Like, that stuff will just put you to sleep. So I think energy is one of those things that can't be replaced. It also can't really be taught. Like, you either have it or you don't have it. And so to that point, I do think, like I said, I think Gus is very good, and he's been very good for a long time. But if you're at that level, you got to be able to maintain some level of vocal integrity. McDonough maintained some level of vocal integrity. I mean, like, yeah, his voice cracked. I get it. My voice is cracked on big calls before too. It might have even cracked on that walk-off slam I had a little bit earlier this year. Sure, it did. And in certain moments, that's okay. Like, even the Vermont championship game, I think that's okay. But yeah, that whatever that was from Gus was not it. And I think it's perfectly reasonable to expect more. I don't just think because someone's at a certain level, they're beyond criticism or beyond, anything like that. So just the way I come from it. But yeah, you're right, JT. You have to be careful on social media.
Let's take a break. We come back here. We got some breaking news here on NSN. We'll get to that and so much more. Number 189 here on the National Soccer Network.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics.
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play,
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
Call 586-304-4405
and start watching today.
welcome back to Inside the Game here on this Thursday morning. Jonathan Turner, Nathan Wengler, Ryan Glinsky. And we over the last number of months, we have been working, to bring on new partnerships. A lot of times because of our relationship with leagues, with existing teams, we are introduced to new teams who are looking for support in the broadcasting world, and we're able to do that for those teams. And so this morning it's been announced, or will be announced, that we are taking over broadcasting for Diverse City FC, based out of the Illinois and Midwest Central of the UPSL. They have 10 home games. They typically have 5 in the spring, 5 in the fall. We'll handle all broadcasting for them starting here this April in that Midwest Central. Now, I know that there's like a Midwest Central, and sometimes it's like Midwest North, I think, too, depending upon how many teams are in there. So it might be one of those 2 divisions, but we will take over all broadcasting. So you can watch all those games right here on the National Soccer Network. We will produce those games, provide commentary and resources for Diverse City FC. And having a chance to talk with Giovanni Sanchez, the president of Diverse City FC. He had mentioned this. This is his quote. Diverse City FC is proud to partner with the National Soccer Network to enhance the professional presentation of our matches. Through this collaboration, we look forward to delivering a stronger, more dynamic broadcast experience, one that captures the energy of our players in the field and shares the excitement with our supporters at home. We thank the National Soccer Network for joining us and amplifying the voice and spirit of our club. Together, we're turning up the volume on this beautiful game. And so we are excited about this partnership. We are excited about the opportunity to continue to highlight the UPSL. Speaking of UPSL, we have a UPSL game coming up here on Saturday between Foot Ohio and Detroit United. Again, we've done that matchup before in the past in the playoffs, and so we'll be traveling down to Marion, Ohio this weekend to pull off that broadcast. But we're excited to have this partnership. There's a lot more of those relationships coming down the pipe. We'll continue to talk about those and highlight those here in the coming weeks. But we're excited to be partnering up here with Diverse City FC in the Midwest Central Conference. Oops. You're muted there, Nate.
The UPSL continues to grow. There we go. Now it's back on. Now we got it. All right. Continues to expand. I know we've done a lot of work with that league, and long history between us and the UPSL. So it'd be nice. It'd be nice to get in and call games for that team, and excited to see what that brings us.
Yeah, and Mark Matofsky, by the way, is hopping in the chat on Instagram saying he's excited to rewatch the broadcast on Saturday. We will be broadcasting the game. Kicks off at 6 p.m. Eastern. Foot Ohio and Detroit United again. This has been their Achilles heel, I would say, is for Detroit United. This is a team that has dominated the Midwest East. I can't tell you for how long. I mean, forever. It's like 10 years. Like I said, they're always in a final. And whether they win it or not, it's a whole other thing. But they're always seem to be in this final. And they just, for some reason, when they leave their conference and go out and fight for a championship in the national playoffs, they struggle getting through this, like, Chicago, Ohio conferences, right? They've played Chicago Nation, right, and lost to Chicago Nation. They've played Foot Ohio, and they've lost to Foot Ohio, and this has been their battle, their challenge. Could if they went on a win, could they make their way even further? Again, it's interesting because they have a team historically that's done very well, very strong, and been very successful, but they have not been able to get outside and into like that round of 16 or even the quarterfinals, and so that would be a challenge for them. But I'm interested to see. We'll have that coverage here on Saturday. We're excited about it. Matofsky says we have a few cheeky signings made for Saturday, hoping to change the script. Well, all right then. Maybe.
Not gonna lie, John. That whole that whole time I was waiting to hit the horn, but I needed an appropriate time to do it. So I'm really happy I was able to hit the horn.
I'm just curious if they have the bracket up right yet. I'm just curious if they have it on the UPSL site. They do. And so, so Chicago Nation's already beat Black Cat FC by a score of 2-1. And so they made their way all the way to the round of 16. So Detroit United will face off against Foot Ohio, who I believe made it all the way into a national semifinal last year. if I'm not mistaken. So this is a team that's very good, by the way. They're playing this weekend. So Detroit and I would play the winner. Would play Chicago Nation if they were to win. So a very interesting. Yeah. Yep. So
yeah, that sets up a unique situation for sure.
Yep, it is. So I'm just curious if Matt. Yeah, here we go. I think we'll make it past this first round. We can make a great run going forward. So Matowski's putting it out there. So. But yeah, the UPSL is one of those great things. I mean, because we talk about this too, like the amateur game. Like there's the USL2 and USLW. They do a fantastic job with their national championships, right? They really do. I mean, there's a lot of marketing behind it, a lot of resources. Their playoffs are fun to watch. UPSL, they have this national bracket. It's obviously a little different. They don't have these like regional pods. You have to travel to these individual cities and go play your games. And they'll do that, and they'll take a break here in December once they have the quarterfinal matches done, and they'll come back in February and have their national finals in California. And so it slows the momentum a bit. But what else are you going to do? I mean, you're going to keep having people and teams playing in snow in parts of the country. So I think that might be the biggest challenge. But we're excited about the UPSL and about coverage. My guess is that we'll continue to kind of follow these teams all the way to the quarterfinals like we've done the last 4 years. So
it'll be a fun time.
Ryan, what do we got today, man? I know we got into some other things here, but what else have we got on tap?
We got a couple Pochettino things. We got MLS making a little bit of moves. Some Gio Reyna if we want. Brendan Aronson if we want. So, yeah, it's really up to what you guys want to talk about.
You are our producer, my guy, so you put it on the screen. We will talk about it.
Okay, let's do this one then. Let's bring in Mauricio Pochettino. Is he currently looking for his next job instead of focusing on the World Cup? Pochettino has said in the last week that he is missing the Premier League and hopes to return in the future after the 2026 World Cup. People are raising questions about this because of his November camp selection, especially after the comments made by Crystal Palace manager Oliver Glasner regarding Chris Richards. Do you guys think there's anything potentially in this?
I mean, probably. I mean, I think we've even heard the chatter about him at other tournament at Copa America. Wasn't he supposedly having interviews during that same time period? I think
pulling a Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I think so. So the reality is this, and we've already said this. Pochettino, as much as he might be a great coach, he's not going to take the U.S. men's national team to the promised land. It ain't going to happen. So, he's not going to be here a long time. And so I actually believe that he will be gone probably at the conclusion of the World Cup, maybe even shortly thereafter, especially if it goes bad. If it goes well, I still think that he's going to leave because, again, he's like an in-between coach for us. We've talked about this before, too. If U.S. soccer has a hope of ever winning a championship, it's going to have to come from an American-born, someone who understands the game of soccer here in the United States. Someone who's, again, like a Claudio Reyna. Right now, I'm not saying Reyna is the guy, but I'm saying that's a person who grew up in playing soccer in this country, understands the dynamics, and understands the culture, understands all of it. And so I don't think Pochettino's our guy. And so whether he's looking for a job or not, I guess doesn't really bother me. As long as that doesn't impact their ability to go out there and win soccer games right now.
I think it's a little bullish to just say he's not the guy and let's move on. I mean, let's take a more kind of a critical look at this, if we may. I mean, the way he responded to Oliver Glasner, I think, is telling. But this has been the main criticism of Mauricio Pochettino really throughout the course of his time here on the U.S. men's national team. American fans feel uneasy because I think they realize that he wants to get back into the Premier League. He's eyeing a lot of those top European jobs. And so it makes you wonder how invested is he in actually getting the United States men's national team to the next level, and I know that docuseries we've been watching doesn't tell us everything. I think I've seen a lot of things in that I really like, but I do think it is worth observing what he actually said to Oliver Glasner. Excuse me. But he had a response, and what he said in it, he goes, quote, "I'm very disappointed in those comments regarding Chris Richards when it came to him playing called Glasner's criticism egoist. It's what he called. And he said a lot of club coaches, they only think about their clubs. They don't think about what's happening outside of that. They don't think about the international windows. They're only worried about them and their clubs and what they're doing. And so that's what he said. He's like, a lot of them are egoists in stating that they don't understand the pressures of managing an international team, which I'm sure a lot of them don't. But he defended the decision to play Richards, saying that he was ready, that the medical staff had communicated with the club that he was ready to go. Obviously, Richards wanted to play, and argued that the players have desire to play for the country. National team goes beyond just friendly games. That means a little bit more to me, right? Because my biggest concern and my biggest question mark here was, and a lot of people have brought this up, is he playing too nice with these club coaches? Is he playing patty cake with the people who are actively holding back the players that would really, really help us out as we build up to the 2026 World Cup? And this is the biggest, I feel like, glaring on its face example of what we're seeing out of Mauricio Pochettino, how he handled this situation. Did he back down? No. Did he face Oliver Glasner face to face? Yes. Did he address it by saying, listen, this is stupid, and you play him 90 minutes in game after game after game, and all of a sudden now he's on the international side and we decide we want to play him, and now you have an issue with it, right? You didn't have an issue with it before, but now we're making up stuff about how he's nursing an injury and so he shouldn't be playing for the U.S. men's national team and he should only be. The way he addressed that specifically, I thought, was very telling. Now, does that mean that he's not searching around or feeling around to potentially get back into the Premier League? No, I'm not saying that. And that's concerning, right? Because all of his effort and energy, at least from our perspective, right, should be on him coaching the U.S. men's national team. But it's always important to realize that these coaches, these managers, they're people, right? They're always looking for the next opportunity, regardless of whatever opportunity they're in. And so there have been examples that have made us go, is he already thinking about the next move? Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But that one specific response to Oliver Glasner and what he was saying, I thought was very telling. I think he stood up for Chris Richards. I think the fact that he put international play and U.S. men's national team up against clubs and talked about how he doesn't understand the importance of playing for the country is, I think, something that is very telling. But what does that mean moving forward? I'm not exactly certain, but I think that at least provides some level of reassurance to the American fans that he's willing to go toe to toe with managers who maybe have issues with taking players or who he's playing.
Yeah, again, my perspective on Pochettino, and I've been pretty consistent about this, and again, whether he's fighting for this now or whatever the case might be, in regards to, and I think it's important to say this, that if he was a manager of a club team now, not an international team, his sentiments would be completely different, right? Because he's in that role, right? He has to say what he's got to say. Because again, he's fighting the battle. Again, every team right now is concerned about their team. Again, look what's going on with Pulisic, right? He can't play. He's not playing right now at all, right? He's still out. And so what happens? He got hurt during the U.S. men's national team, so there's going to be animosity between Pochettino's side and of course Milan, right? So you've got these things that are happening that are dynamics that, and to be fair, in a lot of our environments might not matter. And so I think that there's always going to be animosity between the club and the international coaches and managers. It's always going to be a thing. But I do think that Pochettino is understanding of the situation, and he knows he's not the guy. I don't think that. I think he knows it. I think he's trying to do every kind of the best of circumstances, but he's going to ride this wave until it's over with. And again, I think it's going to be over with if the World Cup goes the way that we might think it could go, which is it's not a good showing. Pochettino's not going to be here. He's gone. I mean, he's going to be gone. And we've even talked about him maybe being fired before the World Cup even happens. And we even talked about this on this show, and I think there's been people talking about that in the media about him even maybe being the coach leading into the World Cup because of the decisions that he's been making up to this point. So the fact that he's even considering another job does not seem unrealistic to me. And based on what we know about professional sports, college sports coaches and how they interact, and I'm not going anywhere, and then 10 seconds later they're on a plane and they're gone. It's like, the loyalty isn't there. And so I don't knock him for that. I don't think that he's doing he's self-preservation. But if I look at it from the picture of the U.S. men's national team as a whole, I don't think that Pochettino is the guy. I've been saying that since day one. And maybe he's building a foundation of talent and players that the next coach can come in and do this. I just want U.S. Soccer to not make a bad decision in hiring again. I would like to see, a U.S. Or American-born player, former player, coach here in the United States who's grown up in this environment, understands the culture, understands the style of play that we're supposed to be playing, and have them lead the way. I'm nothing against anyone from other countries. I just think that understanding our dynamics is the most important thing that will get us to the promised land. And so if this leads us that way, that's great. But I don't knock him for looking for another job either, though.
Ryan, go ahead.
I would say, he coached in the Premier League for years, and he built that young Tottenham team with John's favorite player in FIFA, Harry Kane,
I hate that guy.
Dele Alli, Kyle Walker, Alderweireld, all those guys. And he built that young team, and he brought them to a Champions League final. And ultimately, some of those players flamed out a little bit. Harry Kane's still kicking it, especially at Bayern Munich. John knows that pretty well. But it's for the people who don't know, John and I play FIFA pretty regularly, and I play as Bayern Munich, and Harry Kane scores all my goals pretty much. But that's just kind of how the manager that Pochettino is. And that's kind of what my first thought process was, is when he got first hired, is he's just trying to get us to the World Cup, build a ton of publicity. And a lot of people know who he is, especially in the game of soccer and especially around the world. And I kind of thought, after the World Cup, no matter, what happens, even if we were to, somehow get to a quarterfinal, a semifinal, whatever it is, I still kind of thought he was gone. Like, you kind of know certain coaching hires in sports that, like, look at Monty Williams, for example, with the Pistons a couple of years ago. We had to overpay. The Pistons had to overpay for him. He didn't want anything to do with it. I don't even know if Pochettino wanted the USA job to begin with. But you had to overpay to get him. And Monty Williams was like, all right, I guess I'll do it, and just kind of was out there. And you could see that he didn't give a ton of effort. Look at Alex Cobb, $15 million. He was going to retire, but the Tigers like, here's $15 million. He's like, well, I guess I'll give it a shot for another year. So that's what I thought originally with it. I think that the USA, regardless of what happens, I'm with John. I think that you're going to have to make a new hire, whoever that is. But you kind of look at a lot of international managers. They all want to be coaching in the Premier League, the Bundesliga, La Liga, all that fun stuff because, it's a year-round thing, and that's where they want to be. In the World Cup, it's appealing, but at the same time, I don't think most managers want to be international managers.
But I always wonder why, too, because, again, if we were joking around about we playing FIFA, in FIFA, you could be your Premier League manager and also be an international manager at the same time. You can't do. We don't see any coaches that do that, right? They're not both, right? So,
I will say, the sample size, I would say for an international manager, obviously it's way smaller, but I think the pressure gets dialed up a little bit more because every game becomes a little bit more important. Like, you only have a tournament to prove yourself. You only have a 2 or 3 windows to prove yourself. Whereas if you're a club manager, you have a month of games or 2 months, 3 months, whatever that is, to prove yourself. Pochettino international managers, if you're an international manager, you have either whatever region you're in, you have the Nations League, the Euros, or the Gold Cup, or the Copa America, whatever it is, and then the World Cup. That's all you have. And there's a lot of pressure on, and if you fail in one of those tournaments, you go.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that, and I think also too with if depending upon how had Pochettino just shit the bed in the Copa America, had they not made it all the way to the final, would he even still be the coach? If they had not won the group stage, if they had not gotten out of the group stage, would he even be the coach still? Mm-hmm. My guess would be that. Well, if it was, he'd be every single next step would be under immense scrutiny. I don't think he has that scrutiny as he did if he had been, had a crap showing at Copa America.
We didn't get out. I don't think we got out of group in Copa America, did we?
No, we. That's when Tim Weah punched the dude.
I'm sorry. Was it this past summer? Was it gold?
Oh, Nations.
Was it
Gold Cup? Gold Cup. Yeah, we did have the Gold Cup this summer, but that was all the B team. B team and C team.
Nations League
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
I'm just saying there's a term of the summer. I thought it was Copa America. It was
Gold
Gold Cup. And that we made it all the way to the final, right?
Yes, to Mexico, and
Yeah.
we couldn't even be on the same playing field as them, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
So I mean, I don't know. I think it's you know, I hear what you guys are saying. I think we still have to see what happens in the World Cup. I still think the biggest moment is ahead of us. But just taking again away from that one example, the way he handled that, I thought at least that was telling. I thought that was telling. So
Telling in what way?
that he's willing to stand up to a club coach. That he was willing to
he's
fight
standing
on
up
the
for his
behalf of
players,
Chris
right?
Richard.
I mean,
Right, right.
and that's obviously for him
But
to
he's
get
not
players.
playing nice. Like he's not playing nice. You know,
I don't think
that's
Pochettino's ever really
the
played
biggest-
nice, though. To be fair, I mean, Pochettino's not been known to be a person that kind of doesn't mince their words. I mean, he's gotten, I think, toe to toe with coaches,
You
managers
don't,
across.
you don't think it's been a concern at all that he's been appeasing club coaches? That's why he hasn't called up certain players.
I think
called
that
on certain
I
players?
think that he's trying to, again, in the World Cup window. I think that there are certain players he knows who are on this team, and I think that that's probably one of the reasons why we're not seeing certain players. Again, this is
Probably
like a
one of
trial.
the
I mean, this is a long ass tryout. That's what this is. It's a long ass tryout. Typically, tryouts take place over the course of a couple days, and then you pick a team. We have like a 1.5 year window. We don't have to qualify. Had we qualified or needed to qualify for this, we would see a completely different way of playing this game and how we utilize players. And so, being that we are already qualified, being that all we have to do is pick the right players and eliminate the right players, you can do whatever you want. I don't know. I don't know what happened. That's weird. Sometimes things just happen. You know, maybe Ryan was doing something behind the scenes. Doesn't really matter.
I was not, but no, we are all back and running, so we should be good.
Well, there you go. Well, either way, it's a great point. It's a great conversation. Hey, time will tell. I just my gut tells me that Pochettino will be gone here at the conclusion of the World Cup. Maybe it wasn't happen right away, but and then we'll see what happens from there. And yeah. But what else we got, Ryan?
Speaking of, kind of the European game, the MLS making some headlines here. The MLS is preparing to move its schedule. The MLS is preparing to officially move to a fall-spring schedule to align with the top European leagues. They're also expected to vote on a new single-table format with 5 divisions getting rid of the current 2-conference system. Your guys' thoughts?
It's a very interesting way of doing things. I almost feel like they're looking to present themselves to Pro Rel here. What do you think? I mean, you're going to go from 2 divisions to 5. You're going to align yourself with this is a number of reasons why you're doing this. As much as it's about aligning with the other side of the pond.
You know who's forcing their hand, though, right?
Huh?
You know who's forcing their hand, though, right?
Well, USL.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I also think that they understand that there's a moment here right now, and this is the part that I think is the most interesting, is that this next 11 months is the most critical, right? And what happens right after that. So I think obviously they're not going to be able to do this for this season. It'll have to be next season, right? Not be the following season, like 2027.
I think it would be a couple years.
Yeah.
before.
So. And then what does that do? It also makes travel easier, right? If you're going to play in these 5 little divisions, whatever you want to call them, that's going to make things very interesting as far as travel as well.
So in terms of the divisions, it is just like it's geographically organized. So it's not like, don't think of it as relegation, promotion, anything like that. They're just going to group the teams into 5, and the owners are going to vote on it. So
this is going to pass. And this is going to pass. I'll tell you why it's going to pass. Because, again, geographically, right, FC Cincinnati, Columbus, right, you've got Louisville, Chicago, St. Louis. Would they all kind of be in that same, my guess is that same geographical location? There's no teams in Indiana, right? Not that
Good.
Right? So, but this is great. It's going to save on travel. Right, it's going to create these division or conference winners, which will end up making their way into the playoffs. You have this season that aligns with the EPL, which will snag a whole bunch of fans who love watching EPL, but now get to watch it alongside the MLS at the exact same time. This is going to change the way the MLS is looked at. And if you're doing these 5 conferences like you're talking about, it absolutely prepares you for what comes next.
Yeah. No, the USL is forcing their hand, and I think it's a beautiful thing to see. I think maybe they won't overtake the MLS right away, but at the very least, they're forcing the MLS to kind of change the way that they do business, and that's, I think, why we're seeing exactly what we're seeing right now with them making those changes. And you're right, the next 11 months are going to be the most important for all of these leagues. But the other side of it is too, you cannot compete with the top levels across the world if you're Major League Soccer for TV revenue or viewership or any of those other things. Just from a popularity perspective, you simply cannot do it. You cannot do it. And so by having the season not lined up with, the way that they play their seasons, and then at the same time that they're playing their seasons, you're essentially creating a product where it's like, well, we play at different times. We'll get a different audience. We'll get more Americans paying attention because we're playing it in a different, time than the Premier, the Champions League, or anything else like that, but you're not going to swing fans. So by putting it at the same exact time, it's almost like if you can't beat them, join them type situation for the MLS. You cannot beat these leagues. You won't overtake them. It won't happen. So if you can't beat them, join them, right? Play at the same time that they're playing, because it creates this kind of unified product where you can watch both. You can watch either or. But no, it's awesome to see, and I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is a lot of what the USL has done and has already done, and the people that they've appointed to help kind of guide them into this next stage of their journey has given it's made the MLS's ears go up a little bit. And so I think that's why they're starting to kind of reinvent the way that they do business and the way that things are aligned in that league too. But I think the most important thing for them is you can't compete with the biggest leagues across the world. So just join them. Just play at the same time that they're playing, and let's kind of streamline all this.
Yeah, I also think that helps with transfers too in terms of
absolutely.
The MLS retirement league, I got bombarded. I got a ton of hate for saying that. But that would, like Heung-min Son, for example, he wants to take a loan in January to go overseas so he can continue to stay fit for the World Cup. He wants to continue to play games, and I can't knock that. Landon Donovan did that.
Messi going to Saudi Arabia, right? Or not Saudi Arabia?
No, Saudi Arabia rejected him.
Rejected him, but he was trying to go there to get tuned up. Yeah, exactly.
For the exact same thing. And Donovan, when he was playing for the LA Galaxy, decided to take he took a loan move to Everton just so he could continue to play games during that winter session. And David Beckham did it. He was constantly training with Premier League teams during that time. And I would say that they'll have to eventually do this. Like, it's just kind of the way that, the game of soccer works. And it's going to come up against, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, all that fun stuff. I'm sure that the reason why they picked the summer was because they were only competing with one league, and that was the MLB. And to John's point, I do agree that the next, what did you say, 11 months, 12 months, whatever it is, the most critical in U.S. soccer history. I would say since 1994, or probably prior to that, so like 1993, 1994, 1995, all those years, I think this is the most critical point, because I think you're going to try to cultivate a generation, a new generation of soccer fans, and you just got to make sure this thing goes smoothly. And the MLS changing things, USL changing things, I think is going to be a big factor.
Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe I'm off my rocker with this thing, but if I'm the MLS, like, I think my biggest competition is the other soccer leagues in the world. The Bundesliga, Serie A, the Premier League. That's who I'm trying to one up. I don't know if I'm really focusing on American sports in terms of popularity. Like, I'm not like trying to overtake the MLB or the NBA. Certainly not the NFL. Nothing will ever overtake the NFL in the United States, or college football for that matter. They'll always be the most popular. But like my mindset is, again, if you can't beat them, join them. Try to make a product that's more authentic, that's similar to what they have in Europe. Again, I don't think the way that they run things through and through will ever work here in the United States. But that is your competition, right? Not the American-based sports. Those guys are the ones that you're competing against. So by creating something that's more authentic and speaks more to what the European game is, I think that's going to help the MLS out a lot more than trying to create something that is a more uniquely American product with the way that they do business, whether it be Major League Baseball, the NBA, anything else like that. Like, I think that's the best direction that the MLS can go.
Yeah, no, I right now the MLS is not competing with with football. They're competing with USL. They're competing with other obviously other leagues. They're competing within themselves. Again, the decisions that they make about how to watch their their games, those decisions have impact on growth and as well as notoriety. But we talk about how we don't see anything as far as marketing. So all these things that they're doing currently can either propel them or they can pull them back. And so I think that's what we need to just continue to kind of keep an eye on. But I like this idea of creating these different smaller divisions. Again, and that does kind of more align with, by the way, the NFL, right? I mean, the NFL has small divisions, right? And so that does align as well. So I'm curious to see how this all shapes up. I think it makes it more competitive. I think it creates more parity, which is always good in the game, right? Where you see, hey, if it comes down to the decision day, right? Right, decision day. Everyone talk about decision day, right? The last day of the season where there's a couple points that separate like 10 teams. And if one win, one loss, one thing here, those things make people get extremely excited. You know, the fact that Ohio State and Michigan are rivals is great, but when they come together, they're both undefeated and they're playing in the big house, they're playing Ohio State, they're playing in those environments. Crazy. They're off the charts. And so having parity, where you have a division where the top 8 teams are like, lock in, and then the bottom, whatever, they're all playing each other. No one gives a shit about those games anymore. And so I think that having this will also create, I think, more parity, create more, excitement. And so those are all things that are great for the MLS. Let's take another break. We come back. We'll dive into some more things, all things soccer. We've had some things blow up here on social media as of late. We'll talk about that. But don't go anywhere. Number 189 continues here on this Thursday morning.
Are you ready to create unforgettable moments for your audience? NSN offers professional live streaming and full broadcast services tailored to your needs.
From high-quality production to exceptional coverage,
We ensure your game or event becomes a spectacle to remember. Book your next game with us today
call 586-304-4405 to schedule your broadcast.
and let NSN bring the action to life like never before.
Welcome back this morning to Inside the Game. Jonathan Turner, Nathan Wangler, Ryan Glinsky, our producer. And Ryan, what else we got on tap here this fine morning?
Let's see. Do you want to sound like a broken record and talk about Gio Reyna again, or do you want to go Brendan Aronson?
Let's go Brendan Aronson.
Flip the coin, man. All right.
Brendan Aronson. All right, this one is just about criticism and all that fun stuff. He says that he tells his fiance and parents they can look at all that criticism, but he tries to tell them not to. He says, I wear the shirt of one of the biggest clubs in England. That's Leeds United. The fan base is amazing. We have amazing fans, and sometimes it can be tough. It comes with the pressure of wearing the kit. The criticism is always there. It is always going to be there. I'm not someone who uses social media. I never go on it. And what do you guys think of players getting criticized?
First of all, I think he's lying. He doesn't go on social media. Come on now. I'm sorry. You might not look at his social media, but he goes on. Come on, he goes on social media, But Nate, go ahead, man. I know you have some thoughts on this.
I remember once upon a time when I was very critical of Christian Pulisic, who was complaining about Landon Donovan, talking about him on his show and previous U.S. men's national team players when he decided not to play in the Gold Cup. And I remember that being the case. And I remember thinking at the time, and I thought I was cooking. I thought I was onto something. But in hindsight, I wasn't really onto. I wasn't really onto anything, because I talked about how these players don't have the same media pressure and scrutiny as other sports in the United States, which in the United States is correct, right? Like, someone who plays for the New York Knicks is going to hear a lot more from the New York media than someone who plays soccer in New York, right? Someone who plays for the Lakers is going to hear a lot more criticism from the media than someone who maybe plays soccer in Los Angeles. But when it comes to media pressure in general, I'm sure Christian Pulisic has heard more than his fair share from the Italian media. And I'm sure that they have ripped this guy a new one for this, that, or the other thing. The reason why I think it's beneficial to have these young players playing in these top leagues over in Europe. Yes, they are surrounded by the best talent. They are surrounded by the best coaching, the best facilities, right? The game lives, breathes, and dies in these places. It is important for all of those things. But what makes it more important in my mind, and this is just another layer on top of this, is that they get used to seeing and feeling the level of media scrutiny and pressure that comes with being someone who's supposed to be a contributor on these big teams in these really popular places, because they're going to get this early in their career. And if they're going over as young as they are now, which we're seeing more and more younger and younger players who are joining these top-end leagues in Europe, that media pressure is going to weigh on you like a ton of bricks. That's going to be a piano on your shoulders, right? How do you play through that? And so I think for young American players, it's really vital and it's really important to have those experiences, because the best of the best, eventually, I feel like at some point, just learn to let it roll off their shoulders. It's like water under a bridge, right? But when you're young, that level of criticism, again, especially when you come from a place in the United States where if you are the greatest in your group, like, you are heralded as like the next big thing. Like, everybody falls at your feet. You're the prima donna. You can do no wrong. And then you go over to Europe as an American and they're like, hey, buddy, welcome to the bigs. All right. You better do what you need to do. Otherwise, we're going to get on you like peanut butter and jelly. We're going to be on you like flies on poop. I wanted to say another word. I don't like to swear on the podcast. You get the point, though. Right. So I think that's important when it comes to these young guys being in that grinder, when it comes to over in those places facing that scrutiny. And I'm sure he probably doesn't go on social media a ton. I mean, I'm sure he does go on social media, but I mean, heck, if I was in that position, I don't know if I would. I mean, your job's not dependent on it. Your job's depending on how you play. And so that's actually kind of a beautiful thing. I wish I didn't have to go on social media every day, to be honest with you, but it's a part of the job. But anyways, you get the point. I think that's why, in terms of development, in terms of everything on the field, yeah, you can learn all the skills and everything you need to learn, but everything off the field, that development, I think, is probably something that is probably had in a lot of these bigger countries, especially earlier in their career. It's very important.
I think it's disingenuous for someone in 2025 to say that they don't have social media. I think, again, I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue that maybe he doesn't want to watch and listen to his criticisms, but to sit here and say that he doesn't go on social media, it just doesn't make any sense. All right,
Maybe
and so I understand the mindset of wanting to kind of, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and block out all the haters. I get it, right? That's fine. But I think to go on there and say I don't have that, I mean that to me almost seems like he's lying. But
yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there that
not everybody's chronically online. There's people out there that don't go on social media. Believe it or not, those people still exist.
Yeah, but maybe they probably do. But I don't think that they're professional athletes. And so I think that statement alone is just disingenuous. But again, understanding that you want to block out your haters. You don't want to read the newspaper or read the news article. I get that. Right? I'm not going to go there and go looking for someone to say something about me. I get it. To say you're not on social media or not, you don't go on social media, that to me seems a little disingenuous. But the rest of it, I'm okay with, because again, I think you should block out the haters, because again, at the end of the day, it's about what your coach thinks, what the ownership group thinks. It's about what you think. Those things matter more than what I might think. I'm curious, Ryan, what your thoughts are as we get ready for question of the day.
You hear a lot of coaches say that they don't want their players to go on social media for the scrutiny. I mean, hey, if you choose to block out the noise, props to you.
Remember when Michigan football all deleted their social media accounts during the
because they
cheating
sucked,
scandal?
and I was probably part of that. But no, actually, I wasn't that mean. But I would say, I mean, it is what it is. This is kind of the day and age that we're in. I have one of my buddies up at Central talked to Zach McKinstry, Fire Up Chips, and he got, McKinstry came up to like kind of the third base side there, went to Fenway, whatever it is, or first base side, whatever it is, and got some real cool gloves. And he told him, Zach was like, hey man, like since really glad that you're representing our university, whatever. Sent you a couple DMs about how awesome it is. And he goes, yeah, I don't typically look at my social media because I get a lot of death threats. And the death threats McKinstry said was not because of how he played, but it was more of sports bettors upset that he didn't do a certain something, and they wanted him to like somehow reimburse him for money or something. So that also plays a factor. But I do think sports betting, more than anything, plays a factor than people criticizing because of everything else that's going on.
Go figure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we made more addicts. Surprise! It's like, hey, let's just legalize all drugs. Let's just see what happens. Why not? Let's openly promote it. Ridiculous. Anyways,
you heard it first here from Nathan Wengler. What do you got for question of the day?
Sports betting. But anyways, go ahead.
Question of the day presented by Salt Athletic, the official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network. Use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off your order. TikTok Live going a little quiet today. Not a ton of viewers in that, but visit saltathletic.com today or scan that QR code on your screen. But question of the day. This was based off yesterday, but I want to do the food question instead. What is the best sports prospect to never pan out? Could be any sport you can choose, but name a player that had high hopes and didn't pan out.
I don't know why it's the first one that came to my mind. I don't know why it's the first one. Ryan Leaf. Yeah, definitely up there. How about Greg Oden?
Oh,
Ohio State. That dude was supposed to be the truth, and I think his knee just completely gave out on him, like first season and everything, and he flamed out. Yeah, Greg Oden was I remember him being a big one. Who else, man?
I got mine if you need some time.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I'm going, when he plays, he's not bad. But the issue is injuries. I'm going Zion Williamson. Zion was this portrayed next LeBron. He's a high flyer and everything, but he's constantly hurt. He's never played a full season in the NBA. He's only played over 60 games 2 times in his career. He's been in the league since 2019. I think he's one heck of a player. I think he's one heck of an athlete. And when he's healthy, he's really good. The issue is he's never healthy. And when he was like coined like the next LeBron, I also think like Cam Reddish should be in that mix too. Like that group of Duke players were this next great thing, and none of them really panned out. But no, I think Zion Williamson's mine.
I think of Adam Morrison too. Well, Darko was not. Darko was a bad. Darko was not. Darko wasn't supposed to be drafted there in the first place.
Well, but again,
you, Joe Dumars.
I mean, you could be based on the fact that he was drafted.
Dwayne Wade was there.
Chris Bosh, LeBron.
It's
Carmelo.
true. Maybe because it's funny story. The Dan Hasty broadcast.
Wait, are you guys all are you saying that because the ownership group within the Pistons did not know how to draft, that made that prospect a shitty prospect, and therefore, I'm asking that question because how many times have we seen stupid moves made by ownership groups and their general managers that have not panned out?
Yeah, many a times.
Could you argue that Ryan Leaf was never a good prospect?
No, I think no, because we saw what he did in the college game. It's like Adam Morrison. Like, that's another great example. Like, that kid coming out of Gonzaga, like, he owned the world.
Yeah.
You know, Jimmer Fredette is another great example out of BYU. Like, those guys were great.
Teach me how to Jimmer.
Mark Sanchez. I mean, could you argue Mark Sanchez? I mean, he didn't have a great career. I mean, granted,
great NFL career. He's known for the butt fumble. That's about it. So
yeah.
I would also say Trent Richardson, Eddie Lacy. Those two were hot commodities out of the draft.
Oh God,
Eddie Lacy was good in the
wide
NFL,
receiver
though,
out of Michigan State. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Rogers.
Charles
Yeah.
Rogers. Yeah. That's a sad story, man.
It is extremely sad
that has
story.
more to do with drug addiction, but yeah. But yeah, there are a couple of good examples. But no, I mean, I think the Pistons ownership I don't think he was a great prospect to begin with. I think that's a smartest man in the room syndrome, because you got to think they were coming off a championship. They were thinking more about, like, let's get someone that fits more than let's get the best player available, which is not the way you should draft. I've never thought that's the way you should draft. Even if you have someone in that position, if they're the best player, draft them and then figure it out later. Like, that's my personal opinion. But it was just smartest man in the room syndrome, and it didn't work. Let's put it that way.
I think if you said look at soccer too, I think Freddie Adu was a player that you could probably put
I
there
guess you
in
could.
that conversation too, because he was a young player coming up and put a lot of pressure on him. He fizzled out pretty quickly there for DC United.
Yeah. Joe Felix, another one in Portugal, coined like the next Ronaldo, and made a big money move to Atletico, and then just fell off the face of the earth.
Well, there you go. Well, hey, that wraps up this episode of Inside the Game, number 189. We were 11 episodes to 200 here. Now we're officially at 10. And so, but we'll be back here tomorrow morning here in Inside the Game. Don't forget to subscribe, like us,
A lot
share
of
this
USA
with
talk
your
tomorrow.
friends and family. A lot of USA tomorrow as they get ready for their matchup on Saturday, and then again on Tuesday against Uruguay. And we're excited about that because I'll be there. So we'll dive into that here tomorrow. And so much more. But hey, anyways, that's Ryan Glinsky hitting the horn button. We'll keep hitting it. That's Nathan Wengler. I'm Jonathan Turner. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow here, same time, same place on Inside the Game. From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wengler bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.